Right, as I promised yesterday, I've got 4 pieces here from a parcel. The rest of the parcel's sat over there. I can show you that afterwards. But right now, I'm just going to rub these out. See what happens. I'll start with the smallest one, the awkward one first. Well, they're all awkward, but that's cutting, isn't it? So I'll start the machine and get on with it. I'll start with the smaller one. So with this one, you can't see closely, but there's white potch underneath. So there's no point trying to face it on that side. So let me get into it and I'll see what happens. Take off the rough edges first. I use an 800 sintered for this. Can't see much at the minute because of the angle on the stone at, but I will get something sorted out where we can see from above. It's just not possible at the minute. So with this one, the thin part, you have to get rid of colour. Nearly every time you have to get rid of some colour with this kind of material. So I'm going to try and get the base where the white potch is and that sand is. Like I say, 800 might not seem very abrasive, but with the sintered wheels it doesn't take long to come off, and I'd rather it was slower than fast. Right now I'm not concentrating on shape, I'm just getting in my mind the best possible options for getting a stone out of this. But never let the colour rule your thoughts, or you'll never cut a stone, or you'll take forever doing it. So there's potch on this side, so I've got to accept that. It's got to go. It's coming down quite deep there as well. So this will have to end up being a marquise or a longish opal. But once it's on the stick, I'll make sure I've given myself a chance of getting something out of it, and I've got it ready to go on the stick already. Okay, it's a pointer. It's going to make just under a carat, I think, by the time I cut it. But there's one. There's one. Right, next one stuck to my arm. Awkward shape. Got some sand and stuff. Now, that looks like the side you should face, but don't face it there, because you can only go to the minimum. So that's going to dictate if I try and get that whole face, so sacrifice the colour. Anyway, let me get it down, see what's under the brown stuff. The Coober Pedy, it's not as tricky as ridge in this way, because the brown stuff usually comes out unless you get the ginger whiskers, which I'll explain about some other time, but I'm sure some of you know. So the thin part of this piece of rough, I'm just getting to a stage, I'm going in where I can get it to a point where it's going to be an acceptable thickness for a stone. So that's cleaning up there, it's not looking too healthy there, and I don't have like much tolerance when I see unhealthy areas on a piece. So I just get rid of it. There's no point negotiating with it. There's still some in there, so it's got to come out. still in there. It's better to have a clean, healthy stone than try and keep all the colour. I understand why people do it, but it's just not worth it, because you're going to end up with cracks if you leave those ginger whiskers in there, which I'm trying to get out right now, which seems to have worked. Then what I do is just try and get a base on it, little chamfer around the bottom, which is like a little bevel. I'll sort that out in the stick later. And there's a nice little stone. There's another one around about a carat at the moment, probably make a bit less once I've cut and polished it on the stick. So that's two. It's $150 parcel, and I took 4 pieces out of maybe, I don't know how many there is in there. This is a bigger piece. The bigger piece again, got a situation where if I try and preserve the colour up here, I'm going to have to go thin, and that's no good, so that's got to go. Okay, if I had a delicate saw, I could maybe chop that and save that for a chip. But I don't, so I'm getting it. So I'm actually going to face it. I'm going to try and face this up here if it works out. If it doesn't work out, I'll see and I'll turn and I'll change it. But either way, I just want a pleasing shape. But that's got to go to start with. Any sharp edges, get them off. Just get them off, because all they're going to do is cause you grief. Like with glass, same thing. Opal's very similar to glass. And now I'm seeing there's some bad potch in there, so probably going to have to face this top bit. I'm using 800, so I'm not exactly firing into this. There's no need. You can lose the colour so quickly. Yeah, so what we've got here is some crack that's going up higher in the stone than it looked. But we'll get a stone. We'll get something. Don't be afraid to lower your sights. And try not to leave sand in a stone. I'm not talking about a little speck, but when it's like this, I don't want to sell stones that have got this kind of stuff in them, because I don't think they're going to be stable. Change in temperature, humidity, whatever, there's always a possibility that's going to crack with that amount of crack in it. So it's got to come out. And listen, if it gets that thin that it still hasn't come out, then utilize it as a doublet or something, or inlay or something like that. Not every stone works out. That's a fact. Whoops. I think we'll be alright with this, but I still need to get that trash out the back. And try and bring things down evenly. Don't just take it out of one side and end up with a wonky stone. It's still got that crap in there, so it's going to have to come out. Now we're getting somewhere. Should get away with this one. Okay, so now we're down to just a little bit of sand in the back. Overall, you'll get to know this as you cut more. Overall, it's not going to affect the stone stability. Just roll it out a touch. And always consider the jeweler, because the jeweler's got to set these. So if you leave a big belly on a stone, it's a bit of a nightmare for most jewelers. Well, from what they tell me. Depends on the setting, I guess. And again, take off the little sharp edges. You're not cutting at the minute, you're just shaping. So there we've got another one. It's quite nice actually, it's got 2 colour plays. It's So that's number 3, and I didn't hand pick these, I pulled them out last night, out of the pile. So we've got 3. This one now, let me see. Yeah, this is all sorts of shapes, so I'm going to have to make a decision on which way to face it. And you don't know that until you get on the wheel. Let's have a look. Sharp edges off. Clean it up. What you're left with, that's what you work with. Don't let that colour dictate to you what's going on. Now this is just how I cut. I'm not saying it's the best way to cut. I'm saying it's how I treat Opal. Not treat it as in treating. I mean how I tackle it. And to me, there's colour on both sides, but there's some brown misery there. So a little look further down. I think this is going to be the face. Yeah. Still got to get rid of that trash there. Quite a thick colour bar, so I can afford to. There's a pit in the face right in the middle. So sometimes you get to this point and you think, right, which side am I gonna face? There's a pit in the middle on that side, and there's some brown trash on that side which needs to come out. So I don't really know right now, but I think I'm gonna go with the other side. Just got a feeling it's gonna go bad on me, the brown. Yeah, it's going in further. We've got ginger whiskers there. Get them out gently on a fine grit, or they will crack your stone. And yeah, I could go for a double-sider, but to be honest, there's not many jewelers are interested in double-sided stones. I'm not saying there aren't any, I'm just saying there's not many. Concentrate on getting one good side. If you get 2, it's a bonus, huh? I guess. I've still got that problem there. I think it's getting to the point where that'll have to be sorted on the stick, and I'm going to have to decide on what the base, which side is going to be my base. What colour's better? Some little spots in there, so I think we'll go for the base on this side. Yeah, I think that's best way. So yeah, got a nice stone there again. Just over a carat. The back I chose for reasons I can't really show you. It happens while it's on the wheel. So there's another nice stone. So out of those 4 pieces, we've got 2, another one there, 3, and finally there was that piece. I can't remember which side was the face now. 4 pieces, probably about 3.5 to 4 carats there, but they'll go on the sticks, and I'll show you what happens when they go on the sticks. I'll take you through the routine, but while I'm here I'll show you the rest of that parcel, or some of it. If you could just give us a handful, Kenny, please. This is what that came from, this stuff. The parcel I had on yesterday. It's dry, okay, so you're not seeing it, but yeah, that's what it came from. So that's how I rub. That's how I rub this stuff. I can pull another one out if you want, a thin piece. So chuck that black over there. I'll put these ready for the stick over here. Might as well do this while we're here. So there's a thin piece. People say, yeah, but that you picked the best ones. No, I didn't pick the best ones. You saw me pick them. So this one looks a little bit awkward. It's a cheese wedge. So, and it's got some unhealthy looking potch. So it goes. It's got to go. Don't sit there for hours fannying around, trying to preserve every little bit of colour. You'll drive yourself crazy. And I know, because I used to do it. Yeah, this has got some bad potch on it. When I say bad, unhealthy potch, with Coober Pedy, it tends to look kind of nicotine-y coloured. I don't know if you know what colour that is. I can show you actually. That needs to come out. That's not good. That's not good potch. Get that out of the stone. Even if you end up with a 0.3 or a 0.2 or something, get it out. My advice. If people want to disagree with me, fair play, but there's, you know, as long as it's constructive. But I don't believe that any potch like that should be left in a stone. It's going to be a smaller stone than I expected, and not once ever have I worried about, oh, I'm losing carats. It is what it is. I'd rather get a clean stone, and it weighs what it weighs at the end. And pretty much most of the time I don't get to see how much they weigh anyway, because then Cindy weighs them and does all the stuff that she does with the photography and stuff. But when you're cutting pointers and stuff, you kind of know roughly what a carat is and roughly. So yeah, this is going to be a flat stone. That's the other thing, you're going to have to cut flat with Coober Pedy now and again. So that's still got some not clever stuff in it, but it'll cut this, it'll go on the stick. Let's take a little bit of a bevel off the top. It's not going to be a high dome, but it will cut. And that stuff in the bottom is at a minimum now, so that's done. A little bit milky, but it's white ochre, so still worth cutting. Of course it is. So there's another one. Little stone. You're not talking big money, but you 30, 40 quid, 50, I don't know. Depends how it cuts up. There's your money already for that parcel, and there's what, 80% of it left, 90% of it left. I'll carry on and show you when they're on the sticks. I cut them on a sandstone and then rub them on sandpaper, and we'll move on to that. Cheers.